This is the multiple test for OxyFree, started at 9:30 p.m. on January 30th, 2023. We have the 100cc, the 300cc, and 500cc oxygen absorbers. And this is the capacity test. We're into this by about 8 hours. The 100cc absorber is about halfway up. The 300 is almost there, and the 500cc is there. So we need to go ahead and dump the 500cc. And we're at 19 hours into our test. This is going to be the second dump for the 500cc. And this is going to be the first dump for the 300cc. And this one is almost there, but not quite. 100cc absorber has maxed out, so we're going to go ahead and dump this one and exchange the air. So this one has already exceeded its rated amount, but we'll see how much more it will do. The 500 one is still not quite there, about 3/4 of the way. Not much movement on the 100, but the 300 needs a dump. We're 55 hours in, and the 300cc needs a dump. 91 hours. This one is just creeping up ever so slowly, so I went ahead and marked this, and we'll check again tomorrow to see if it's increased anymore. This is 100cc. Over on the 500cc, it has pretty much stopped. I marked it yesterday, and it hasn't progressed today. I'm going to give this one more hour. This one, however, has progressed, so we're going to go ahead and give this a dump for the 300cc. It's been 118 hours since I started this test, and this is with the 100, 300, and 500cc. Since the last dump, neither one of these have been able to come up to the mark. So we're going to go ahead and call the test, and I've marked each level. And we're going to go ahead and calculate the final capacity, then add them up. These are the tests of the 3 oxygen absorbers I did. The first one was 100 cc's. So this amount right there is equivalent to 100 cc's. And that's from this little oxygen absorber right there. This one did pretty good. It was able to suck up almost 3 times the amount it was rated for, to 333 cc's. So that's 3 times. That's pretty good. The next oxygen absorber is a 300cc absorber. That's the one that we know and love and use almost all the time. So this is 300 cc's, and that is the absorber. And this size always seems to do very well. It not only sucked up 300 cc's, but it sucked up that, and that, and this. So this did 890 cc's. That is really, really good. Almost 3 times. The final absorber was the 500cc absorber. This is a little bit different. I never really have used one before. This is 500 cc's. And so this is 500 cc's, and that's the 500cc absorber. A little bit disappointed in this one because, I mean, it met its grade, but only by 8 grams. So the 500cc absorber was only able to suck up 508 grams of liquid. So I'm not quite convinced on this one. So I'm going to run some more tests on the 500 one to try to find out why it only barely met its match. With the other ones, with the 100 and 300, those did almost 3 times its capacity. So more testing will be done on the 500cc. So this is my retest of the 500 oxygen absorbers. It just did not do well in the initial tests. So I'm going to do 3 of these to see if they come out the same or better. My initial thoughts is that maybe the bag or the batch somehow got contaminated along the way. But that's only my opinion. So we'll probably give this 3 or 4 days and see what happens. It has been 9 hours and this is the first dump on each jar. Each jar has reached 195 cc's. It's been 187 hours and we're done with this. I went ahead and marked each of the jars on how far the water went up, so I'll go ahead and calculate the very last dump. But I'm very pleased with what this has accomplished. So we'll get the numbers ready and get them to you. This is the 500 cc oxygen absorber. This is our number 2 absorber, and it did the least of all the 3 we tested. And in this jar is 500 cc's of fluid, and number 2 did 500 plus another 500 plus 538 cc's. That's pretty good. That's over 3 times the amount. Oxygen absorber number 1 did the next best. It did 500 and another 500, and then it did 644. But absorber number 3 did the best. It did 500 and 500 and then 653. So all 3 of the absorbers we tested did more than 3 times their rated limit. So this is pretty good. These are the 3 oxygen absorbers that I received from Discount Mylar, and the brand of these absorbers is OxyFree, which I've tested in the past, and they're a pretty good oxygen absorber. This is the 100 cc. This one came out to be 3 grams. The package was less than a gram, and the secondary ingredients was less than a gram, and we had 2 grams of iron powder. On the 300 cc, this weighed 8 grams, 1 gram for the bag. We had 2 grams of secondary ingredients and 5 grams of iron powder. Over here on the big guy, the 500 cc, that weighed 14 grams. The bag was 1 gram, secondary ingredients was 6 grams, and 7 grams of iron powder. So this is a pretty good absorber. I'd use it, I'd buy it. Doesn't seem to be a problem, and I really appreciate manufacturers who put extra material in these to be able to make sure that the end user gets what was stated. And in this case, all of these absorbers picked up 3 times their rated capacity, and I think that's pretty darn good. There's a couple of companies that do the same thing, and OxyFree is one of them. So the next thing we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the MSDS or the SDS sheet and take a look at the different ingredients in this. This is the SDS, formerly MSDS for OxyFree, and it's a pretty good safety data sheet, but it's missing just a little bit of information here that I wish they would have printed. And this is the components, section 3 of the oxygen absorber. They show the iron powder, but over here they don't show the percentage by weight that's contained in each packet. So there's basically 5 ingredients, or potentially 5 ingredients, and we all know that the iron powder is the most important. And then there's the activated carbon. And what happens when the iron powder starts to absorb oxygen, it warms up. And because of the active carbon that's with that, this carbon will burn a little bit, and this is what produces the carbon monoxide within inside the bags or jars, and that's nothing to worry about. So anyway, the secondary ingredients is activated carbon. Then we have some calcium hydroxide. We have some salt, and that's what's the white powder. And this actually shows some moisture, but it doesn't show, once again, the percentage. So there's 4 possible secondary ingredients. The primary ingredient is iron powder. So in a nutshell, that's what we have. The brand on this, OxyFree, seems to be a very good company. So if you're going to be buying an oxygen absorber and you're looking at OxyFree, you shouldn't be worried. It will do a good job for you.